Hi everyone, it's Cindy and welcome back to Studioloo. We're here for day number 11 of Dephemerember, and I'm posting later today because I just had a bunch of stuff to do today, so I am filming in the evening. Okay, so I forgot to tell you all the stuff. So first of all, the prompt is leaves and envelope and owl. And this is Dephemerember, your December daily ephemera making challenge in December, hosted by Barbara from 49 Dragonflies and Louisa Heinzel Junk Journal Art. So let's get on with this. So I have 4 of these envelopes. These are envelopes that were sent to me by my lovely friend Shell of Shell's Creative Chaos. They're for our Junk Journal Round Robin, which is actually another collaboration similar to Dephemerember that is a swap between me and my 2 friends, and we kind of collaborate and jam it all together in the months of April and November. So if you like Dephemerember, you may also like Junk Journal Round Robin. It's a lot of fun. So what I have today are the envelopes. I've got this bag of leaves. These are like silk leaves. There are both fall and, you know, green leaves in here. And then I have this book from Glenn Lotes called Owls. So I had another idea before I decided to do this one, but I felt like it was similar to something I did recently, so I didn't want to do it. But I think it's fun, so I'm going to tell you what it is first. So I was thinking with these envelopes, what I would do, and I'm still going to do, is use my my letter opener here to just kind of open these up, these flaps, and there's that. Then we would have this, right? So what I was thinking I would do is take a piece of acetate, or take a picture of like an owl from this book, stick it down on the back here, put an piece of acetate over top, stitch, stitch, stitch to create a bag, and then put some lovely ginkgo leaves that I've dried inside, and then stitch it closed, and you'd have, then put it back together as an envelope, and you could have either an envelope or even, you know, a flip out made from an envelope that would be that. So that's another idea, okay? But I decided I want to do something a little bit different today. This is really cute, by the way. To Dad and Margie, to inspire owl prowls, a visit with Kay McKeever, readings to munchkins, but most of all, wonder. Love, Kathy, Christmas 88. My friend from FES, Anne Champagne, wrote and researched this book. So yeah, interesting. A Bobby Kalman book. I don't know like all these names, but I just thought it was, oh yeah, Bobby Kalman, art by Glenn, I don't know. So maybe she was a researcher on the book, who knows. The North American Wildlife series, Crabtree Publishing. Oh yes, consultant Kay McKeever. Interesting. So, you know, I hope people still write inside books and buy people books as gifts, because it's really kind of magical. But instead what I want to do is something slightly different. I'm going to look for 4 images that I think will work for me. This is one. I'm going to take that out. Glenn Lotes is an incredible like artist, Canadian. Maybe. That's a maybe as well, but I hate to not use that other side. This is one of those books where there's stuff going on 2 sides. That could be a fun one. Let's go with that one. There's nothing too exciting on the other side. Oh, that's beautiful. It's a little big for this project though, I think. That one is the same. Nope, it's not. It's similar, but not the same. Those are nice too, those screech owls. And I could use both of those for this project. Yeah, why don't I do that? So what I was thinking is, put the book aside here. And these will be our images. And I need to back them and thicken them up a little bit. But first I want to like work with these leaves on this background and decide, okay, so an envelope and how we want to change an envelope. I kind of feel Now I kind of think I know what I want to do. So the main part of the envelope is this, and that's what I want to work with first. So these are my leaves, and I want to go, I think, mainly with the green ones, but we'll see. Maybe we'll do one with other colored ones. And I want to take different green leaves, remove these backings, and layer them here like so. Do I want to do 2 rows of leaves? Now I think I only want 1 because it will get to, you know what? I need the owls to get done first before I make my decisions, because I'm changing the way I'm thinking here. Okay, let's set this aside and let's work on getting our owls sorted. So this one, velvety feathers, beautiful. Maybe I will kind of cut this out so I can look at the words, because this has nice big words, this book. So I usually take all the scraps that I create when I'm making, and I'll just set them aside, and I'll harvest, especially nature books, for words, because you always find like cool things like inside of a dark log or something, you know, something interesting. And same here, we're gonna get those. Okay, so set my scraps aside for later harvests, and now we need a folder, which is in my little box here. And then I'll just kind of get rid of the excess that I don't need, so I don't waste glue. Okay. And then I'll glue these down. This is like a season where I want to try to see more owls. I so rarely see owls in the wild. I'm trying to get better at it. I have a photographer friend who he is so brilliant at finding owls. He's just like, I don't know, he's got owl magnets in him. They're so hard to find. I mean, I have a few places. I don't really share though, because like people, I follow like this series of Facebook groups about nature photography and like nature observations and stuff, and like there's a lot of like kind of arguing that goes on about the ethical way to view owls, not, you know, to disturb them, obviously. And so I try to pay a lot of attention to that, because obviously I want to do everything ethically when I'm outside trying to observe an owl. So I don't share my locations where I see owls, because that could attract more people. I feel like we should all kind of just try to do this in the same haphazard way that everybody else is doing it, which is by chance, you know, so that we don't all find the same owl. Because there was this whole thing that happened in a nearby city to where I live, where somebody had found an owl like habitat, and there were like 6 snowy owls there, and so they shared their pictures online, and then they shared where it was, and then I guess a lot of people went out there. So my friend included, he also went out there because he just wanted to, like he sees owls all the time, but he wanted to kind of take a look at the habitat and see like what's attracting so many of them, like what's the situation out there. And he was like, you know, very dumbfounded, because there was even a man, you know, who saw this on the internet and kind of started to shout at my friend about, like, you know, not going in the habitat where the owls are. And like, it's actually a conservation area too. It's like a public space. And so my friend was like not looking for any kind of drama with this man, and he's, you know, he explained like that, you know, first of all, he has been there many times. He didn't realize that it was the same place that he's actually been before. He had never seen so many of them as that woman who posted that one day had seen. And so, you know, but he knew, like, sometimes I think we know when it's worthwhile to try to talk to someone or not. And he knew right away, like, it's better that I just leave. This guy's obviously, you know, angry. So he did. And so yeah, that's why I don't talk about where I see owls. I also am not as good at, like, finding them as he is, and I haven't had time to kind of commit to that process yet, but I'm going to try because I'd really like to see a few owls. And I think I'm going to have to lose that piece. It'll be a little wide if I cut all that out, that cacti. And I think the same is true here. I don't want all that extra cacti. But I do love the flowers in this cluster. So tell me, have you ever seen an owl in the wild before? When I was younger and I used to go to zoos, before my feelings about zoos kind of changed, I used to love seeing them there. Like, there are a lot of these kind of events where you can go on, like, raptor walks and stuff, but I don't know, I tend to hesitate because I always sort of wonder if, like, you know, are they good or are they not good? Do they like respect, you know, rules and stuff? Because a lot of places where animals are used for any kind of, like, entertainment, they end up being a problem. Like Marineland, for example. What a nightmare. Always hated that place. I remember going when I was much younger. I went one time in my whole life and I didn't know anything about it. And I got tickets from, like, some work-related thing. I was, like, in my 20s, and we went, and I just remember seeing these very obese deer who all had growths on them, and they looked very ill. And then they kept all of these bears, like brown bears, in this pit of water, and, like, it had a lot of concrete and a very small amount of grass, and people would throw them corn pops from a cup. It was just so upsetting for me. And then I didn't like how the marine animals looked either, and, like, I ended up spending maybe 30 minutes there and leaving, and I was just, like, very upset. I felt very upset. So I knew that, nope, it's not the place for me, and I ever since then would tell everyone kind of how I felt, because I believe they should have been boycotted and they should have closed down a long time ago. And the sad thing is like, there was an animal organization that had tried to close them down, and, like, but they were owned by, like, rich people who, like, sued them, and I think they won because they're connected, you know, all that yucky kind of stuff. So now I look for animals in a much more respectful way, and I think it's a good thing. Yeah, kind of an understatement, right? All right, how can I make that fit? You know what I think I'm going to need to do is, like, layer it a little bit. So instead of just keeping the image together, when you want to keep, like, something cool like those flowers, it's okay. Just kind of play around a little with it as a collage. So now we have something that fits here, and we want to keep this, so maybe bring it down a little bit, and then you get, like, that, and then that's pretty cool, right? So what I also would like to do is, with these leaves, I want to create sort of like a frame or a cluster around this. And these are totally different leaves than I had last time, but that's okay, because ultimately they all need to be the backings off anyhow in order to use them. So that just adds bulk. Okay. Maybe like that. I think I want to use all the same kind of leaf. This one needs to come over here and fill in a little more over there. Then this one can come in and kind of take up space here, I think. Okay. My initial thought was that I wanted to like cover the entire space with leaves, those cloth leaves, but I don't think I want to do that now. I just want to make it like a cluster, and then I'll come back and do something different with the rest of it. So what I'm going to do is actually just go to the sewing machine, because it's going to be so much easier than like gluing all of this. And I'm going to stitch around the owl first, and then around this, and then around the leaves, and just bring it all together. So there we go, we're all stitched down, and I also felt like it would be fun to kind of create a track around this, and I quite like it. I think I just need to put a little bit of glue under this one spot that I kind of created a little bit of a bubble accidentally when I was laying down my leaves and moving them around and kind of figuring out how I wanted them. I think I probably could just have stitched on there a little more, but I'll just glue it now because we're here. Waiting for glue is one of the major reasons that I prefer stitching, I think. There we go. That's done. Beautiful. So then I think what I'd like to do is use my micro tip pen, and I'm thinking about now this feels a little bit more like it could be a tree, like a, you know, like the knot, not the knot, sorry, the nest, the hole in the tree that our owl friend might nest in. And I think just keeping it a little simple, right? Like not stressing about drawing abilities and all those kind of things. We could make something kind of fun here, without getting too upset about what this needs to look like or something. Because I think that it's easy to do a lot of that. I might get something brown to just shade with a little bit. But you know what I'm also tempted to do is I've got Distress Oxide in peeled paint here on my desk. I've got, this was walnut stain, but I think I put a little alcohol in there. I was just playing with that. I don't think it's going to be dark enough, so I'm going to turn to my inks and my walnut stain ink, and just maybe take just the edge of this, see, and then follow those lines a little bit and create a little brown both ways, both the circle and the straight lines. It's gonna add like a little more kind of a sophistication to this. Okay, so, but again, like don't stress about those kind of things. And then I want to add complexity a little bit with a bit of the Distress Oxide in peeled paint, because I think, you know, it will mimic a little green, like moss, but not specifically, but the green goes beautifully. So I'm gonna let that just kind of do its thing a bit. I'm gonna spritz it with coffee a little bit. So that one is ready to just go sit down and dry. Where can I put it? Right over here. Okay, that one's going to dry for a bit. And we'll move on. And I want to repeat kind of the same process again. So, where's my letter opener? Maybe we'll just do all these at once here. These are strong envelopes. Like the glue is, it's stronger. There we go. One. And I'm trying to decide if I like making a project or going step by step more. I haven't decided. I sort of feel like I like making the first one. It's almost like making a prototype, even though I'm not really doing that with you guys. I'm just making. I don't have time to make a prototype today. Okay, open that up. And again, this is our main, you know, image. So let's start with this one. Oh, it's so cute. So let's see. I think I kind of like, I'm going to go green leaves with this one again. I want to go maybe something interesting like these ivies. 1, 2, 3 of those. Put that away. And we'll take these spines off. Come on. There we go. Okay. And this one, I think what I'd like to do is kind of a little different. So like, still need it to stay in the confines of this, this front. So like 1, 2, I think that there. Maybe this one here. Yeah, that's pretty cute. So I'm going to just hold this as it is, and I'm just going to stitch around just the owl this time. So there we go, it's all stitched on. And then I think what I'll do is just kind of come in with the walnut stain this time, not with any of the black, just with the brown. Just create a bit of like walnut stain brown. And that gives it that same kind of feeling of a tree. And then again, I want to grab my grunge box, pop that down in here. There we go. And then a little bit of a coffee spritz, just from far away, not too much. And then this one I think is also good to go and rest and dry for a moment. And this one, we've got this more yellowy kind of owl, and I think I want to use the more fall feeling leaves with that one. So a yellow and that veiny orangey yellow. I don't know if we need 2 or 3, we'll see. If I want to do like a cluster, kind of liked how it looked when I just laid it there, kind of like that. Oddly enough, that's funny. I think I had this one going this way. That is really just kind of cute as it is, to be honest. Yeah, that's nice. Okay. All right, so I'm going to go to the sewing machine. I'm going to stitch down the vein of the leaves and then around the owl. All right, so we're all stitched on. Same process again with the Distress Oxide. Just to create some shading. Hopefully you guys can see this. I know it's like kind of brown on brown. And it's night tonight when I'm filming, so it's a little darker. I apologize. Okay. That. Okay. Just a little more maybe subtle. That's good. This one I'm not going to hit with coffee. Okay. Last one, and it's this one, and it's this very white, kind of boring to me. So I'm actually going to kind of make it a little more brown. We're going to turn this wintry owl into a more summery owl. I'm going to get the, what other color do I want? Maybe rusty hinge. If I can get it out of my bin here. Hold on. Okay. I'll leave the white around the face. That feels a little more interesting to me. Okay. Now we need this envelope. And then to decide how we want this to go, I know I'm going to have to lose a little bit of the wing, and that's fine. Then I need to decide what leaves I want to use. I'm feeling the ivy again, to be honest, and maybe even like ivy and like one yellow leaf. So let's just kind of take the spines off. You can use these little spines for other things, like little entrapments or something. Okay, so what if we did kind of a smattering of ivy, and then a little yellow back here, and then another big ivy here. Sort of like that, like she's landing down in that pile of leaves. I kind of like that. I'm just going to add a little glue stick back here. Kind of pre-glue a little bit everything. It'll just hold it in place because it's a little bit more complex than the last setup I had here. Not like that, and then a little on this one. Good. Then I'm going to also glue that a bit, right, like so, I think. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to go to the sewing machine. I'm going to stitch down this around the owl and then on the leaves and come back. All right, so the stitching is done. Now we need to just go back and trim off that wing. Okay. And ink. Okay, then grunge box. Okay, and that can dry. So I'm just going to take a moment to let dry these up, and I'll be back. All right, so these are all dry now, and what I would like to do, I think, is to just give them all just a little bit of a trim because they're a little bit long. So I'm just going to come in with a trim like so. Then this one, I think we can go from the bottom on this one. Same with this one. This one, a little bit less. There we go. Okay. So now what I want to do is I want to make these into like flip outs. And I also want to cover the stitching on the back so we can actually accomplish all of that with exactly what an envelope already is. So we've already got that flap to be the backing. So I'm just going to put glue right over this whole back. as so. And then we'll glue that down. Then this a little bit, just to cover that last little bit of glue. Oops. Where is this coming from? There we go. Okay. So now that will be something that we can glue down like this, and then it's going to be able to flip open. I just need to maybe, actually I need to leave that whole thing open. I think I want to put another strip of paper. It can't be that one, but maybe this one on the back here. Can I use the leftover envelope to cover that? Yeah, sure can. Okay. Let's just get that glob of glue back down there. There's just like a little thread there, and I want to cover that off. So I'm going to use the leftover envelope piece. That's cool looking, actually. Alright. So now this will be the part that we glue down, and then that will flip open like so. And I think I'm going to want to stitch around. And I'm also going to want to ink this because we changed kind of the shape. There we go. That's better. Yeah, that's more even. Okay. And I also like the idea of maybe rounding this one. That side. This kind of has a nice shape because it's a bigger one, and I think that will look nice. Okay. All right, so that will set aside. Then this one. And yeah, we got no threads hanging out of that one. So I'll just glue this. This can stay in there. Those threads are not going to hurt anything at all. Okay. That's a fun little tip out. Same thing with this one. Now it does have threads, so let's go ahead and we'll glue this whole section here. And also, you know, they don't all have to be tip outs. Why don't we make this one a journal card? Could be fun. Yeah, I like that. I'm going to round the edges though, I think. Yeah, that's fun. And this one, that one can be a tip out because we have no threads hanging out the side. I'm just going to trim these. And then we'll glue this one. Down like so. Okay. And I think I'll round the edges on that too. It just looks nicer. Okay. I'll do the same with this one. All right, one more stitch. So we're back from the sewing machine and I just stitched around, and then I'm going to trim my spot that I'm going to glue down to make this the tip out. I'm just going to trim it like it's neater that way. So this one is a journal card. That one is a flip out. This one is a flip out. I also trimmed it. And then this one is also a flip out. And then I just want, I think, to add a little bit of wax, bronzy colored wax around the edges to give kind of like a bit of a patina, because I like how it might look with some of this peeled paint. So just around the corners, kind of not like super evenly or anything, just a little here, a little there. Yeah, that's fun. See what adds that bit of glitteriness or metallic, I guess. Just add that here. Just gives you like another element. A little bit of owl magic makes the paper feel a little more interesting. There. Okay. Okay. So our mask make today, or our compartmental making, it was only 4 pieces, but I think they're super fun and I like the prompt. I think it came out nice. I think these are going to be great in a journal. So thank you for joining me, and I will see you tomorrow for more Dephemerember. We'll see what time I get to film tomorrow. Sorry if I'm keeping you guys up late. Anyways, have a lovely evening and I'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.